From Del Rio, Texas, Rob Wade and Robert Garza. Two guys who dive. This episode of Two Guys Who Dive, recorded Saturday, 6 October 2012. Episode 36, Happy Columbus Day! And here we are once again with another episode of Two Guys Who Dive. I'm your host, Rob Wade, and I'm here with...
Robert Garza.
And we're actually back in the saddle together.
Yes, awesome. We are.
So I apologize to everybody who's catching us live that things were running a little bit late. I had a party at my boss's house for all the branch chiefs who were kind of celebrating that our inspection out at the base went well. So,
yes, that's great.
So, yeah, you know, that always makes people feel better when the hard work
they
that
get
you
to
do,
keep their job.
Yeah, you get to keep your job. But the hard work that you do is validated. You know, it's important. It's important for everybody to celebrate those successes. Yeah. You know, even in federal service, even in the government, you want to celebrate the things, even though you're expected to do your job and do it well. It's nice to get that validation from people that come in from the outside and talk. You know, look at your processes. So. I imagine you go through something similar to that.
We do. You know, my biggest pet peeve is, you know, and I love the guys that I work with. You got to keep a kind of a sense of humor when you do the type of job that I do. But the funny thing is, it's like every time we have these meetings, you know, we don't have them often, but when we do, they're usually kind of, well, you know, you guys are doing this, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this, and you're doing this wrong, but you're doing an outstanding job.
You know, like, you suck at everything, but you're doing outstanding.
You know, it's like, okay, you know, but it kind of, and I always have those type of meetings, you know, it's just so funny. I'm just like, can you get with you guys? Yeah, you know, I would prefer to one day just go in there and say, you guys are doing an outstanding job, but you guys are doing this wrong.
That's funny.
Yeah, you know, we get the ass chewing first, and then they tell you, you know, they praise you. Oh, you're doing a great job, by the way. So it's
the inspector that we had in our area. She basically said, "Well, you guys are rocking and rolling. Just had a couple of things." I'm like, "Okay, is that where's that in the criteria? You know, the scale. Or, you know, when I look at processes, I want measurement. You know, are we 70% there, 80% there? You know, whatever the measurement is. You know, out of 10, you got 8, and you know, rocking and rolling. Where is that on the scale?
Yeah.
So." Yeah,
you know, but I guess it's like that anywhere you work. You know, you're gonna be evaluated and appraised, or you know, appraised a certain way. And unfortunately, I'm not the appraiser, so you fall short for meeting expectations, obviously. And they just have to find something to critique.
Yeah, and the other aspect of it is when it comes to at least the military, you find yourself. You realize you sort of are in competition with other bases.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like they have X number of, you know, like a quota system, but you find that, well, this base got outstanding on this, and it becomes kind of we must do better.
Well, was it you who told me that the bases are rated like by a number? Is that correct?
No, it's literally. You have overall, and then you have within divisions and organizations, and then in different programs, you have unsat, marginal, sat, excellent, and outstanding.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, and I'll be honest with you, from a person who looks at things from Lean Six Sigma, if your standards are set correctly, SAT should be all you work for.
Yeah.
Because If you're marginal or unsat, then that means you are not meeting the customer expectations. If you are excellent or outstanding, it means that you are doing more than the customer is actually requiring of you. Now, if somebody tries to say, well, you should always be the very best, I'm like, you should be what the customer expects out of you. So if the regulations or the customer, in this case, the regulations are sort of the customer. If you've got those standards set correctly, then you should never fall below what that expectation is. Anything you do more than that is creating waste, because you're doing extra work that does not, that the customer is not requiring of you.
Right.
You know,
And yeah, we talked about like a spreadsheet. We talked about all kinds of stuff. Yeah. You know, it's crazy.
You know, I kind of throw the yellow flag when somebody says, "Oh, I did all this." Matter of fact, one of my employees, we've got a big project we got going on next week, and he volunteered. And I love people who step forward and take the initiative. He volunteered to create a document, a single-page document that basically mapped out an outline of what we needed to attack for next week, but. You know, it happened to have everybody in the office when he gave it to me. I said, "This looks great," except I pulled a Toyota on him. I said, "Okay, everybody, I need to raise attention." And I said, "And I'm not picking on you. This is excellent. This does give me the information that's going to help us do this more efficiently next week. But I want to use this as a teachable moment." So, and he had like the logo of the software that we're going to be installing or updating, and all this other extra stuff. He spent time to make this document the way it was. And I said, "Now what's wrong?" And I asked everybody, because they've heard me talk about this. I asked everybody, "So what's wrong with this picture?" And only one person sort of hit on it. He said, "It's in color." I said, "Yes, that is one. That's part of it." Because that being in color doesn't change the form, fit, or the function of the information I needed. Mm-hmm. But I said, "Look, it's got the logo on here and all this other stuff." I said, "This creates no extra value for me. It looks good, but I totally ignore it as far as us getting the job done with it. He's got the critical information we need, and it's perfect, but anything he did above that wasted his time, wasted toner, there was all this waste that's incurred in it." And I said, "I am not slamming you for doing it, but I'm using this as a teachable moment." But so he excelled. If he were being inspected on it, an inspector would look at that and go, "Oh, that you exceeded the standard. Great, you get excellent or outstanding." Me, if I were looking at it from a lean perspective, I would say yours was marginal. Because I needed X, you gave me all this extra stuff, and so you created waste, so that knocks off points. So it was an opportunity.
There you go. You're doing an outstanding job, but
exactly, that's exactly right. But you're doing way too much.
You're doing too much.
I need you to do exactly what I need you to do. So okay, so we've got Monday is Columbus Day.
It is. Unfortunately, I have to work.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Are the schools in session, or this is one of those like a teachers are working, and so you have to be there and all that good stuff?
That is correct. The students will not be at school.
What they call it, in-service? Is that what
it's
they call
an in-service day for us.
I'm hip to the lingo.
There you go. There you go. You're in. It is an in-service day for us. The teachers have to be there. The students will not be there. So if you're watching, parents, there is no school on Monday, which I'm pretty sure you already know.
So if your kids tell you they're going to school, and they probably are actually going off to do something they're not supposed to be doing.
Yeah, they're off to go do something else, you know. But it's been a pretty eventful week again for me this week.
Really?
Oh, God.
No more altercations or kids?
No, but there's been other issues that have transpired because of that.
Oh, okay.
So it's just been a
cascade of consequences.
There you go. It's just
my kid doesn't do that.
Yeah. Just like the example I gave you the other day, last week. It's like I can put something in your hand. It's not going to force you to do it.
That's right.
And I kind of really get bothered by that. I truly do.
I would too. I can't blame you at all.
I get bothered when people come up and say, well, we all want the best, and we all know that, we want our children to excel, and and be the best that they can be. I mean, as a parent, I would really truly hold my kids up, up there, and when I hear somebody say, well, no, your son, your daughter, whatever the case may be, nobody wants to get that kind of news, obviously.
Right.
So you anticipate some disappointment, and then of course, but some people want to get confrontational with you and,
absolutely.
and start telling you, oh, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. It's like, I do know what I'm talking about, and I got a statement from your child, stating that fact, so
dun,
it's
dun, dun, dun.
And it's an eye-opening experience for them when they get that news saying, oh my God, what did you say, or why did you do that? Or, and that's when
they were actually truthful.
And that's when the parents stop focusing on me, and then they focus more on them, asking them, why did you do it?
And it's like a movie. You see this in movies. They're like, why did you do that for? It's like a movie.
And
those things write themselves.
And they just, they really, I've never seen them have anything to say. I mean, the parents are going crazy on the kids, and it's like, what do you got to say for yourself? And they just like, they don't know what to say. So
I was stupid.
Yeah, tell me about it. But it's just serious little issues that are coming up, and but they're coming up small, little ones at a time, and it's just work in progress. What can I say?
Well, let's see. Got a number of things to touch on, and we're going to try and keep this fairly short because you're trying to get out of here for a date. Real quick, a little bit on the tech news. I'm a fan of Nokia, and certainly a fan of Windows Phone, and I've been anxiously looking at all the information coming out, all the different demos of the new Nokia Lumia 920 Windows Phone, which looks to be awesome, but there was a little bit of a issue that came up. Some tech bloggers had posted that they suspected that because of the feature that allows you to use the 920 with gloves on, which is not a big thing in Del Rio, which, well, maybe tomorrow, because the temperature...
Oh, my God. It's not going to be that cold.
Oh, no. Evidently, it's supposed to only be about 60, 65. And we got out of this party tonight, and I stepped on the winds blowing, and the temperature had dropped probably at least 10 degrees just since when we went into the party 2 hours ago. So, but anyway, it normally doesn't get that cold in Del Rio. Once in a blue moon do we really get cold that I even have.
For those of you watching at home, the red shirt that Robert is wearing, it's actually flannel. You can't tell.
That's right. It's fleece. It's got a hoodie in the back, but it zips off. But anyway, there was a little bit of an issue that came up where some tech bloggers thought that there might be a problem with that kind of sensitivity, that you can have a bad combination, kind of a perfect storm, where you put the 920, the Lumia 920 in your pocket, and you could have like things in your pocket that accidentally hit the button, one of the buttons, like if you've got it set to where the camera activates even while locked, which is a feature you can turn on or off, that the sensitivity of the screen would keep it active so it wouldn't go back to standby. And then other bloggers kind of piled on and thought, we can see some situation where that would be an issue, which obviously that's a bad thing. That's a bad design if you could run your battery down on this thing because of that. And then Nokia started seeing that, evidently, all these bloggers talking about this, and they came back and explained how they've actually designed the proximity sensor in such a way that it prevents that from happening. So I was like, of course, being in the military, trust but verify. And being from Missouri, show me. So that will be something I will be looking as more people get these in their hot little hands, because I that would be a bad thing. Yeah, that would be a horrible design flaw, because I don't have that problem with this.
I'm sure the minute those things hit the stores and they're going to start buying them, if they start experiencing problems, it's just like the iPhone. They're gonna fill the net with their problems.
Yep.
So, by the way, speaking about tech, issues in China there got kind of ugly. Then did you see that?
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody walked out of the iPhone manufacturing.
Foxconn. Yeah.
Foxconn.
Well, of course, Foxconn has had kind of some had a few issues over the past couple of years where people have been suggesting that there are less than favorable work conditions, which of course is always an issue. I don't care who makes the device, because Foxconn isn't Apple. Foxconn is a company that they've contracted to assemble the units. They get a lot of parts from Samsung. You could go after Samsung and say, well, how are you taking care of your employees? So it's not necessarily an Apple issue, only in that if you've got the people who are responsible for assembling your devices, they'll go, I'm sorry, we're not going to do this. They walk off the job.
Most of the people that walked off from the article that I read were from the quality control. So if you got a device that needs to be checked before it leaves the factory, you may have a lemon on your hand there.
And I was reading up on that when you posted that. I guess their argument is because of people complaining about various little things about the iPhone 5.
Vacation and
huh?
Well, you're talking.
Well, yeah. What started the whole scrutiny was, of course, already Apple's kind of had to hold Foxconn to their feet to the fire because of the potential issues with not taking care of the employees.
Right.
But then when you turn around and say, okay, if there is a problem with taking care of the employees, and then we're going to turn around and say you need to be better at your quality control, now you've created a really, really bad situation as far as pressure. So with the people complaining about less than the normal quality that they expect from Apple products, the Apple has turned around and said, you guys need to get tighter on your quality control.
Yeah.
And so the employees are like, you treat us like crap and you're going to get even more on our case? Oh, no. So I can't say I blame them, but that definitely does. It couldn't happen at a worse
tell me about it.
time.
A release of a major device and
they are flying off the shelves.
And
so.
I mean
they were flying.
They were. There's no supply now, so some of the skeptics are saying that it may be sometime around November.
Really, that long?
Christmas will probably be the time to actually start acquiring one.
Get it back up to speed.
To get one. I mean, they're still out there. It's just me personally. I'm trying to save all the dead presents I can to get this thing.
I thought you'd have reordered it.
No, I did, but I didn't get it. I waited, and thank God I did. Because that's when all the problems started that I started seeing about the screen issues and the map issues and stuff like that.
Which apparently they are making some improvements on the maps.
They're trying to fix it.
The Brooklyn Bridge now looks like the Brooklyn Bridge, evidently, instead of this wavy pattern through hill country.
And that was the other thing too is there was a big thing since yesterday was the marking of 1 year of Steve Jobs' death.
Yeah,
and they were actually pretty. The things that I read on there were pretty bad. They were saying that Steve Jobs, being the perfectionist that he is, would not have allowed the device to be sent out,
I have to agree. And that's why I think I mentioned before, or it might have been the previous episode that you weren't here, that we may be seeing, at least, even though the iPhone 5 I read was the last device that Steve Jobs gave his blessing on, that he actually said, yes, this is this is the design, this is the feature set. Yes, go make it happen. But of course, obviously, he wasn't here to see the final quality pieces. But we may be seeing at least a suggestion of what a post Steve Jobs Apple looks like.
Right.
So Tim Cook, who's the current CEO, he's definitely got his work cut out for him to step into those shoes.
Yeah, and the analyst that actually was wrote the article on what I read was a lot of the engineers and a lot of the people that Steve Jobs hired that were there when they developed the iPod.
Still there.
They're still there.
Yeah,
and they know the type of level or the type of I guess the type of quality that Steve wanted.
Yeah,
it's just allow them to do what continue what they needed to do. And
well, that's why I think a large part of the iOS part, that is totally on Apple. But as far as the hardware, I don't think you can lay much blame at all on Apple corporate for that. That's totally, they've contracted for Foxconn and other vendors to supply the components and ultimately assemble them. So if they're not doing their job at those locations, the only piece that Apple really could be faulted for is maybe not enough oversight. Now, I don't know how their process is for checking the devices before, if they come VFR from Foxconn out to people, or if they actually do go through a QA function within Apple before they receive them. They do a certain percentage check to see, that's because that's how we do stuff in the military. And then you say, okay, this batch is good, and you send it out the door, and then you just happen to be not in that 10% or whatever that they looked at.
Yeah.
It sucks to be
so,
you.
Yeah, but so I decided to wait, and I think what I'm going to do is wait until everything gets back to normal.
Yeah.
And I'm in no rush. I mean, I updated my Ford to the iOS 6.
Yeah.
I don't have, Siri on this thing. I don't have certain things, but it's something that I've lived without.
Yeah.
And I can continue living without it for right now.
Yeah, Tara's the same way. She's in no hurry.
I want to wait to see until all the bugs are hashed out. I'm sure there'll probably be an update to the iOS 6.
I was going to say, I think most of the hardware, getting scrapes and scratches, all that stuff, those kinds of things aside, that's Foxconn fixing their process. But it seems like most of the issues that are happening with the iPhone 5 are not unique to the iPhone 5. They are tied to the software. And so probably combinations of the operating system and firmware probably will fix a large part of those.
I see the 6.1 coming out, pretty soon.
Now, it'll be interesting to see if they can fix the purple halo issue, because I was looking on a website that compared pictures from the 4, the 4S, and the 5, and the 4S was far and away better picture than the 5 currently, and the 4. Actually, the 4 was better than the 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was really shocked. I figured the 4S, I pretty much figured 4S would clearly be better than the other two, but I wasn't prepared to see that the 4 actually did now it wasn't as if you weren't taking pictures where you were like getting that the light at the wrong angles, the sharpness was definitely better on the 5, but if you were gonna the kind of pictures that they took as the example, I would say I would go for a little bit less fine picture to get rid of that halo effect.
I would go. I mean, a 5 is great. I wouldn't mind the 4S.
Think they'll do a 5S?
I don't know. They better.
Here's my prediction. They initially tried to play off wireless charging and NFC. Okay, you can make the case for not necessarily being big on wireless charging, though more of the Android devices are starting to come out with that. But the NFC, we're the only country that really hasn't done anything with it, and because the alliances are really starting to be built up now, I think that's going to be a big thing. So I think if there is a 5S, they'll probably do two major pieces to it. They'll probably, if it turns out that the camera problem is not software or firmware, they'll fix that.
Yeah,
it may be that sapphire, that crystal that they're using. It may be that had an unintended consequence. I don't know, but if it turns out that it's a hardware issue, I think they'll fix that, and I think they'll add NFC. That's my prediction.
And I agree, either that or they'll just redesign the lens issue. Because I think that's the only thing they changed, really. I mean.
Oh, I haven't read enough details to see if they actually did change the camera. It was supposed to be a sharper
well,
camera.
I'm sure they
tell.
changed the camera, but I know that their biggest innovation was the crystal on the glass.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm in no rush, so I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah. And I guess the new iPod Touches are coming out. The ones that look like a Lumia.
They look like Lumias. They got nice colors too.
Have they actually set a date for that yet?
At the end of the month.
Yeah, that's all I saw, that it was, end of October.
Yeah.
And of course, this is a big month for Microsoft. Of course, they've been
Windows
having
8.
they've been having pseudo launches and everything, but basically October 25th is the official Windows 8, and the Surface RT is going to come out. I'm waiting for the Surface Pro. But the rumor I read about today in a number of places is that the Surface RT may actually go for as cheap as $350. If they kick that, because the way that one is specifically designed to go after the iPad market, because its features are close to that. The only thing it doesn't have is neither of the Pro or the RT will have the cell capability.
Yeah.
But it has the Wi-Fi and all that stuff. So they're going with that. They're going specifically at the iPad type market. But if that really is, the 350 is what they're really going to do with that, they might have a shot. I don't know how big a shot, but being significantly lower and being basically like their PC, I'll be surprised. I wasn't expecting it to show up that low. We'll see. That's just rumor right now.
Well, for the features that it's going to have, I don't know if they're going to pull it off at 4.
That's what I'm again, trust but verify. I expect to see the Pro, because it's Intel based and going to have more powerful features to it. I will be surprised if that goes for anything less than 700. Yeah. I really will. They'll try to make it more, as far as price, they'll probably try to gun it close to what the iPad's doing. Yeah. Even though that's really not where their market's going to be for that powerful end. That will be the device that basically replaces my laptop. If it comes off the way I expect, that will replace my laptop.
Well, I got to tell you, I was impressed with the pictures from that thing. I mean, it's thinner. It's almost like an iPad. Yeah. I like the little flat thing that turns into a keyboard.
Yeah, that's sweet.
That is awesome.
And different colors too. So yeah. I'm like, okay, that goes for the frou-frou crowd. So if you want I may have to get one that matches my.
Oh yeah, because they don't have purple.
Which I know. I'm like, come on. The Lumia 820 comes in purple, and I thought that one of the two HTC devices announced comes in a purple too.
It does.
So like, oh come on, why isn't there a purple one? But they did announce that. At first they didn't share it, but they did announce that the 920 will come in cyan. Originally they only showed the red, the yellow, the black, and the white, and there was a gray one floating around there too. Yeah. But the ones they actually announced include you'll be able to buy the red, white, and the black in store November 4th, but the yellow and the cyan you'll have to order online. So, but anyway, back to the Surface. Looking forward to see how those do. So that'll be, and then of course I'm going to be right there ready to download the RTM for Windows 8 to update all my machines. I'm anxious for that. And then finishing off the October 29th is the official launch for Windows Phone 8. So you'll see probably the pre-orders start for the Samsung device, the two HTC devices, and then the Lumia. Yeah. The two Lumia devices. And so they'll probably do the pre-orders and November 4th be able to actually buy them. But somewhere in there, we'll see the official launch of the new iPods. So it'll be interesting to see where they lay that in there.
They're nice. I mean, I saw them. They have all the features.
They look good.
They look neat. They're finally starting to get
something other than the black and
silver
white.
And black. It's
they truly, in that case, which shocked me. I think it shocked everybody. It wasn't just a decellularized iPhone. Which is essentially what the earlier versions were. So it's nice that they said, okay, let us actually make this a separate product. Yeah. So that's cool. All right. So, a couple of movie reviews. Of course, last week we talked about Tara and I were going to go see Looper.
Ooh, Looper.
Have you seen it yet?
No.
Okay. It is graphic. Has nudity, which I wasn't ready for. That served no actual purpose. Language is bad. But ultimately, I have to say, all those reviewers out there that said this is going to be one of the must-see movies, it was entertaining. It was a nice twist on the whole time travel thing. I don't want to give any of the storyline away. But I can't count myself in the group that found this an exceptional movie.
Wow.
It was an acceptable ending. The thing about fiction is you can write a happy ending if you want to. And I always get a little bit angry when I see writers intentionally write a horrible ending. Sci-Fi Channel does this a lot with their self-made movies.
Yeah, that's right.
They seem to like to give you an ending where you're just depressed at the end. Okay, everybody died. Or, the last person alive, and you're like, oh, good, there's a happy ending, and then they get smacked. It's like Final Destination or something.
Yeah.
So, well acted. Bruce Willis, of course, he does well in just about everything he does. Nice twists for the most part, but not totally unpredictable. And except for the ending. I wasn't sure what they were going to do. It fit, but you just kind of go, oh. So, a number of reviewers have said, this is one of those movies that at the end, nobody just gets up and leaves. They are pondering the movie and the ending. No, people pretty much all got up and walked out. There was no...
They weren't there trying to, figure out what happened.
Now, in contrast, stark contrast, and oh, by the way, there weren't a lot of people. It wasn't full. In stark contrast, we went to see Taken 2 last night.
Okay, don't tell me, because that's where I'm going.
Okay.
All right, so. But give me your take.
I liked it. I'm still debating whether I liked it better than the first one. I guess because the first one, for those who have seen it, seen the original Taken, it was kind of a race against time, and this one is too,
yeah.
But I felt more on the edge of my seat waiting for, to just, oh, is he going to get, oh, you just felt like that in the first one. I didn't have that edge of my seat feel for this one.
More like a predictable.
Yeah. I wasn't surprised by anything in what that happened in this movie. But it was all you felt. It was kind of like the Expendables, where you're like, yeah. You just can't help but cheer for the guy.
It's kind of like, when Titanic first came out and hit the movie theater,
I wanted it to sink.
And it came, they were like, I walked up to a friend of mine. They were in line. I go, hey, what are you going to do? He goes, oh, well, we're going to go see Titanic. Oh, I can tell you what happened. It's like, what happens? It sinks,
That's right.
It's a proven fact. It's underwater
right. It's
right
history.
Now. But, when I actually did get around to see it after a few weeks that it had already been playing, I actually found it entertaining. It was cool. I liked it. The little love story that they did. Because, what can you say? There's the person that's lived was already 100 and something years old, So
can tell the tale.
Yeah, so...
Well, you will enjoy it.
Okay, great.
Again, I'm glad. Of course, it's violent like the first one, and so it gets graphic a little bit in places. But the language wasn't really bad, and of course, no nudity. I was thoroughly entertained, and applause at the end of the movie.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, the first one, I don't know which version of Taken you've seen. Have you seen the unrated one?
No.
Okay, there's 2 versions of Taken.
I guess it's probably good I haven't seen the unrated version.
The unrated version doesn't. It's a little more graphic as far as violence is concerned, but as far as the there's no nudity in the. Maybe some parts that were cut out, but not like a whole lot. Not to where it's like, oh my god, that's just too much.
Yeah.
It fitted because there's this one scene that was in the movie that I have that I saw when I saw on TV or on HBO didn't have it. I was like, hey, there's a part missing. He walks into this. I guess it's like a whorehouse or whatever you want to call it. And
they're all strung out and everything. Where they're basically broken.
But he goes into a different one though. In the one that I have, and
wasn't at the construction site.
No, okay. There's the 2 that I've seen, but the movie that I have has 3 where he goes into 3 different places. And most movies, in the other movies that I've seen, there's only the 2, which is the one in the trailers, like where all the trailers are
right
at the beginning, and then the one where they're all
where he finds her,
where he finds
the daughter,
the daughter. But the actual graphic part is actually pretty neat. Because he used to be in the military, so you know that,
right?
And so he knows how to torture, and it just shows the torture part. And at that point, you're like, yes, because these guys deserve to be tortured.
Oh, absolutely.
But the way he tortures the one that he shocks in the chair,
yeah, and that's a critical person in this next movie,
right? Okay, Marco, and the actual one that I saw from the movie that I have. There's more stuff in there.
They do a lot to him.
Yeah, well, actually...
Well, that would probably make the father's reaction much more poignant if I'd seen that.
Well, if you look at the one, I guess the normal version is you see where he's clamping the chair with the I guess the things to shock the guy.
Yeah.
Well, that's not actually what happens. He just goes, "Hey, wake up! I need you to stay focused." He actually has 2 nails, and he jams them into his legs.
Oh, okay.
And that's where he wakes up. Where Marco wakes up. And he's actually attaching the little
to the nails.
To the nails. So when he shocks him, he's actually shocking his body. Actually, so it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say because there's more to it. But
So you will. Yeah. I just found the hypocrisy of the father, not Liam Neeson's character, but the father that's the pivotal in this second movie. I'm like, how do you justify what you're doing given what your son was doing?
Yeah.
But then he just really sets it up. He really sets it up. Oh, lovely. You can go ahead and take care of it. My producer is printing out some documents and...
Yeah, she's going to make an appearance. Here, real quick, right behind me.
You can. You can barely be seen. Anyway. So, anyway, you'll like the movie. I think you'll enjoy it. Great ending. All I got to say is one heck of a way to prepare yourself for a driver's test.
Yeah. Awesome.
Those who have already seen the movie, you know exactly what. I was like, you knew this was coming.
And you mentioned that you saw Dread.
Yes.
That you saw Dread. I was talking to Dominic, and I asked him, "Hey, Dominic,
you haven't seen it yet?
No, I'm not seeing it.
As a matter of fact, it's not playing now, is it?
No, it's not playing anymore.
Oh.
I asked Dominic, did you see it? And he was like, I did. He goes, and I go, how was it? He goes, he compared it to Batman.
Yeah, very much darker.
He goes, it was like, a very dark movie. He goes, you never see the guy's face through the whole movie. He goes, and it takes place in an apartment complex the size of a city.
Yeah.
He goes,
it's huge.
He's like, he goes, it's crazy. He goes, it was very graphic. He did say that.
Yep.
So it kind of piqued my curiosity, but it's gone now. So
yeah,
I'll have to wait.
I'm sure it'll be available on Netflix shortly.
I'm sure. The ones that my friends keep asking me to go check out is the In the Watch.
I have zero. If you go see, you'll have to share it because I have zero interest to see that.
They say that it's a very good police movie, unlike training day and all that, but they say that it's a must see if you're in law enforcement. I don't know.
Well, I get, you would appreciate that.
I'm
Castle is more my speed.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things. It piqued my curiosity because they're talking so much about it. But do I really want to go see it? No, not really. But now it's like, well, maybe I'll catch it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so all right, so that covers that. Interesting news. I was cruising through some of my dive websites just to see if there was any neat and cool stuff coming on that had been announced. A guy named Keller Laros, or Laros, I'm not how you pronounce it. Yeah, he's evidently also known as Manta Man. I guess he does a lot of diving with manta rays, which would be awesome. That's like I would love whale sharks. Manta rays are
and
the
great
two.
whites.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. No,
Without
manta
cages.
rays and whale sharks. I would love to do dives with those. They say there is nothing more magical than to be swimming along, and then suddenly the shadow of an entire group of manta rays covering over you.
Oh, wow.
They said that people who have experienced that say that is just magical. He logged his 10,000th dive September 6th. He was diving at a place called Suck 'em Up Lava Tube on the Kona coast of the Big Island, Hawaii. I went on YouTube and looked at that, and I was like, I'm not sure what I was expecting. I'm like, suck 'em up. I'm like, usually when somebody says that, they're usually telling you to man up. But no, evidently, in the video that this person had shot, they were with a group of people. It's what's left of a lava tube because most of it is open. You kind of get the feel of a cenote. But then you go through this one part where, I guess because of the way the water movement is through there, you kind of wait at this final part where it exits out and it literally just pulls you through really fast.
Okay.
So it was, you'd have to look it up. Just look it up on YouTube. It was kind of interesting. I was like, okay, so that's why they call it Suck 'em Up. So you swim through this thing just to experience that one little bit. I thought maybe it was one of those where you get into it and it's just pulling you along, and you really have to know your stuff because you could get bounced against the jagged rocks or something like that. No, it's just one. Just as you exit the lava tube, it just kind of pulls you out.
Wow.
So that was kind of neat. It was like, oh, like a 3-second ride.
3-second ride.
Yeah. But without all the really excitement of a roller coaster. So,
probably without the pain from the bang.
Yeah, no kidding. Need my back readjusted. Go visit the chiropractor. So he's a PADI master scuba diver trainer and professional dive guide and instructor at Jack's Diving Locker. I assume that's in Hawaii. So 10,000. I'm still under 400 logged dives. I probably have crossed 400 if I actually logged every single dive that I did, but I'm still not, haven't broken 400. These is 10,000.
10,000. Well, you know who else has over 10,000 dives logged?
Who?
Is Chris Mendoza.
Really?
Mm-hmm. You never checked out his bio? Yeah, the guy we go to over there in Killeen. He's got over 10,000 dives logged.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
that's funny.
He's a really small,
seriously,
but he jokes, but great guy.
Yeah, good instructor.
Great guy.
Good
instructor, straight to the point, has everything like, well, what about this? And he'll actually show you, oh, this is what happens to it. But yeah, he's got over 10,000 dives logged.
Wow, that is cool. So, and then also in other news, interestingly, they've announced a 2013 Women Divers Hall of Fame. So, right now, men outnumber women as far as diving, although that is starting to get more equal.
Women divers.
And a higher percentage of my students have been females. So, At least locally, there's a higher percentage of women divers. But
Is Dr. Sylvia Earle on that list?
huh?
Dr. Sylvia Earle on that list?
Not on my list. Why?
No, on the female Hall of Fame divers.
I don't know. Well, no. What this is basically announcing they're trying to encourage more women divers, and specifically ones who get into professional areas, whether it's instructor or the various sciences that you can do. And we've done the job fair or job day, whatever, career day, whatever it is. We've done that a few times, and to encourage especially kids who are into the various sciences, biology, that kind of thing.
We get in the past when we've done it, we've gotten great response from the community. They come out and try, ask a lot of questions, get a lot of information for diving. And it's just, it's so cool. We always get that. Oh, it's so cool. I've seen it on TV. And
yeah,
well, you need to try it.
Absolutely. And we bring a setup of the gears thing, take a look at it. They could even put it on, just to kind of get a feel for what it's like.
Minus the tank because it'd probably knock half of the kids down.
Oh, my gosh,
but,
yes.
But, they've tried on the BC and everything, so it's pretty neat.
So the way they've got this is they're accepting applications between 1st of September and November 15th. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to honoring and raising awareness of the contributions of outstanding women divers. Provides educational, mentorship, financial, and career opportunities to the diving community throughout the world. Each year, they award scholarships and training grants. I love this. That provide financial and education support to individuals of all ages, particularly those who are preparing for professional careers that involve diving.
Awesome.
See, that's the kind of stuff I like to see.
Yeah.
Basically, they have a number of different categories. I didn't want to go into them here. You can visit their website to check it out. Over $12,000 worth of different scholarships. Here's how
great.
It is. It's awesome. Here's how you can apply. You can only apply for one scholarship per year. Well, that makes sense because they want to make sure that different people have opportunities there. Complete the online application form, a biography, an essay describing why you are applying for the scholarship and how you would use the scholarship to pursue your goals. Basically, you're selling yourself and your goals, which is great. You should be able to articulate that. If you can't, then you probably need to get some remedial training on that kind of thing. But I assure you that most people who really have a passion for something and they're just looking for the means to do it, that part is not the difficult part. That's not the obstacle. And 2 letters of recommendation are required. What I didn't see was a description as to what kind of letters of recommendation. In other words, if I as an instructor or you as a buddy or soon to be dive master, somebody in the diving field wants to recommend, or somebody in the professional arena, like biology or paleontology or whatever. Let's see. Some of the scholarships, training grants require additional information or are for specific purposes, so please read the criteria that's appropriate to each one. If you have questions after you carefully read the application, I cannot stress highly enough for folks, read the directions. I get you, and you deal with this too. People have problems with their computer, and the answer is right there on the screen. They just don't read the whole thing. Or why is this happening? And there's something in writing that usually describes if you this or if you don't that, here's the consequences. So read the instructions first, so you don't go asking them a question. They're going, seriously, you want this bad enough, and yet you did not read all the directions correctly. So don't make yourself look like you should be on the lower tier of those being looked at for the scholarship, and be one of the ones in the upper tier.
There you
go. You can email them at scholarships@wdhof.org. And you can go to their website, which would be wdhof.org. You can go to their website and see more information about that. I think that is really cool. I wish we could encourage more divers, period, but I love to see those kind of opportunities.
Yeah. I mentioned Dr. Sylvia Earle earlier.
Yeah.
Who, for most of you probably don't know who she is, and if you do, well then,
Good on you.
Great for you.
Yeah.
She is actually a doctor in the marine biology field. I remember back early on when was starting to get into the scuba diving thing.
Right.
This was years ago. I actually was getting a magazine delivered to the house. It was called Skin Diver. And she was in the back article, and the only reason why it came out in the magazine was because Rolex was sponsoring her, I guess, some of her research.
Nice.
Because, well, it turns out that she actually did a record dive for a female in a gym dive suit down to 4,000 feet, 4,200 something feet.
4,000?
Yeah, in a gym dive suit. You know what that is, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, she did. They dropped her off a boat, and they actually showed the video on Rolex's website years ago. And where it's just dropped, like she just falls directly to the ocean floor at 4,000.
That's like Cameron did in his little torpedo-looking
Yeah, there you go. Okay,
submarine.
well, she did it in a gym dive suit down to 4,300 feet or something like that, and was doing some kind of biology work down there.
See, those things are awesome, but it just surprises me that it never occurred to me that those could handle that kind of depth.
Yeah, and she did it as a female, and it was a record dive
awesome.
in a gym suit, and so it was a big thing. And she's a marine biologist. She still comes out in a lot of the magazines and stuff.
Hey, speaking of suits, we were talking last week about hoods and getting stuff properly fitted. We were talking about make sure stuff fits you correctly, and that wetsuit should fit you close, but not so close, especially with the hoods, where it could actually create a problem, pressing too hard on the carotid arteries. And then we were talking about how some hoods would have vents and that kind of thing. And so Robert has been so kind as to bring in a couple examples.
This particular hood here is a 7 mil. It's actually a 5 mil waterproof hoodie that I use with my waterproof suit. And this one actually has the vents. I'm pretty sure you can see it there.
Let me do a close-up shot here, and you can put it up there.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Those are the vents that we're talking about. They allow water to go out as you're diving because sometimes bubbles will form, and you'll get air bubbles inside the hood. Well, that causes the air to get out so that it doesn't form a pocket.
Nice.
And it will not allow the water to go in the side, and just so I can turn the hood inside out so you can see what I'm talking about. And it's just got like some little pinholes you can barely see.
You can.
Okay, they're right there, and that's what lets the air out of the hood so it doesn't bubble up on you.
You don't look like a Smurf.
Right. Exactly. And on this particular hood, they're very defined because it's got the little vents up there. And I brought another one. And, of course, we also mentioned about fit. Some hoods have zippers and some don't. This one, obviously, this is the back of it. There's no zipper on it. It's just...
it's got to fit over your head.
Yes, and it's a little snug around the neck. And this is another one. This is one that, of course, it still has a tag. I've not used it.
Who makes that one?
This one is from Pinnacle. This is for my 5 mil.
Okay.
This is for my 5 mil. And this one actually has... You will not be able to see this. I know it. But it also has the little vents. They're little dots that run around right here and right in here. And you can't see them, but through the inside, it's the same thing. They're just punched through to allow the air out of the hood and lets it out. But it will not allow water to come in. But this one does have a zipper.
I like that.
Yeah, it's right there so that you can see it. And all you do is you just pretty much unzip it, and it will allow it to open up so that you can put it on a little bit easier, and it actually stretches out the neck a lot more.
Now, okay, so what is this little, looks like a pocket?
Okay, the pocket, and I was expecting you to catch that.
Yes.
All right. The front of the hood here has like a little neoprene
Bib?
It's like a bib.
Yeah.
Well,
so if you're eating cookies or something underwater,
you can stash food in there.
It's a crumb catcher.
Yeah, actually, my 5 mil Pinnacle Merino suit on the inner part right here has something. If you have one, it tucks in. Well, that is where it's supposed to tuck in there, so you're supposed to put the hood on when you put the suit on.
So it creates like an additional seal.
Exactly, it creates a seal to allow the water from swishing back and forth around the neck area.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it works in conjunction with that particular.
That
suit.
is innovative. Yes, very cool.
Yeah, and next week I didn't have time to formulate a commercial for you all. So maybe next week I might just do one on my wetsuit so that I can point that out so that you can see how that works.
Nice.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you for bringing that in. That's awesome.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, one last thing. Let me throw up real quick the tips and training, etc. Switch over here. We go. Okay. Got the next Dive Club meeting on the 18th of October at Rudy's Restaurant. We're in the midst of Fiesta de Amistad here in Del Rio, Texas. We had the course it's kicked off with the Miss Fiesta de Amistad pageant, and so we've had that. We've got not this coming weekend, but the weekend of the 19th. Basically, as we get to the tail end of all this, I'll be singing the national anthem for the United States of America at the Abrazo on the International Dam. We have this each year where representatives of the various levels of government, etc., from Mexico and from the United States come together, and we honor each other, the friendship between the two countries. And so they do their national anthem, we do ours. And so I've been honored by the opportunity to sing the national anthem along with the junior high band from the Del Rio Ram Band. The junior high kids always do a good job, so I have a fun time singing with them.
It'll be great. It's going to be great.
And then to be finished up with the big craft fair going on that weekend, which my wife is a big part of. And then we have the DEMA show, which basically that's coming up before you know it next month, basically just a little over a month from now. And then please sign up to join us on at least one of our trips to Balmorhea. You see the dates there. 17 through 19 May, 14 through 16 June, 19 through 21 July, and 16 through 18 August. Now, one last thing I wanted to cover before we head out. There's no commercial this week. I'm a big fan of diving on wrecks. I've had an opportunity, my wife and I have had an opportunity to dive on a number of wrecks at a lot of places. Our favorite place to do this, of course, in Florida. Yeah. We normally do this in the Keys. But earlier this year, they sunk a World War II Coast Guard cutter, the USS Mohawk. And I actually have, let's see if I can get that going here. I actually have video of the sinking.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oops. An error occurred. No. That can't be. I bet we exceeded our bandwidth. Oh, come on. I'll try and get this going. Probably because we're killing all the bandwidth. Get the volume back under control.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is pretty cool. I've watched the video of the Vandenberg, which we dove on a month after it sank, and that was an awesome experience. But it's kind of neat to see it from the perspective of being on the boat. And so they have to time all these explosions. So this isn't a really big ship, but this is unique in that they kept a lot of it intact. I mean, they kept like the wheel. Mm-hmm. You can see the lifeboat is still there.
It's still there.
As a matter of fact, they commented that because this is the first one sunk as a war memorial.
Wow.
So that's why one of the reasons why they kept a lot of the equipment. So you see the searchlights and everything are still on this thing. So I'm not sure what it took to get permission to do that because, they're so tight about making sure it's environmentally safe.
Yeah.
So that's why they typically take so much off of these boats. So you'll see as it's sinking that there's a lot that's there's debris there around the boat. This boat is not sunk in the Keys. This is sunk about 28 miles off the west coast of Florida, just off of Fort Myers, Florida.
Oh, okay.
So, see if I can skip ahead here a little bit without killing it. It's so neat to watch this happen. When the Spiegel Grove was first sunk, it was supposed to sink just like this.
Yeah.
And that is a monster ship. That's 510 feet, I think. When they sunk it, something happened with the explosives, I guess, and it didn't settle straight like this. And so when it actually hit the bottom, it was on its side.
Yeah.
And then the big hurricane that they had a few years later came over and it swept through there and righted the ship.
Yeah, we talk about that. That's got to be some serious current to flip a ship.
Underwater. That's already full of water. It was amazing. So you see all these pieces and parts. Look at that. I just think this is just such a trip.
Yeah.
And then you see the water swishing onto the deck. See, it starts to list to one side, but as the water gets fully in there, it rights back up again. There she blows.
And it dropped down quick. What's the depth is it at?
I was searching for that, and evidently it's within recreational limits, because it was set up to be, obviously, like I said, a war memorial, but also that plenty of people could dive on. As a matter of fact, they set this up, which was interesting, where divers could do a scavenger hunt, and so the first divers to go on it came up with the first clue.
Oh, wow.
As to what, I'm not sure what they were supposed to be finding on it, but it was pretty cool.
And it's going to take a while for that silt to settle.
Actually, it wasn't too bad. Look, I think this is so cool. You see all the air that's still trapped in the ship having to escape out. Just so amazing. So fast forward a little bit more here. What's cool is you see this. This was awesome. See, it actually settled pretty quick. I mean, there's still stuff in there, but that's a lot of air still in the boat. What's funny is now you see, a little fish thing. What the heck is this that just came down? There had to be a pretty good current there.
Yeah.
I mean, judging by how that fish is working, he's like, wait a minute, that was a camera. Let me check this out. It comes floating back into the field of view here. He's like, okay, let me try this again. Check this out. Look, I'm on candid camera.
That is cool.
That was pretty good. So anyway, that is the sinking of the USS Mohawk. So for those who are fancy diving in the western coast, off the western coast of Florida, that's going to be an awesome dive. They've already got a number of videos of people who've been diving on it so far. It's kind of like our experience with the Vandenberg, which is an awesome dive if you get a chance to do it. So I know you got to cut out of here because you are going to catch the movie. But
I'm going to catch the movie.
So this is probably the earliest that we've gotten a show completed in a long time. But so we covered a lot of stuff today, and I hope everybody has a safe and wonderful holiday. If you're in Del Rio, you're probably going to be wearing jackets tonight and tomorrow.
It's not that cold.
I'm going to have to go open up the shed and get my parka out. So.
You know what? I think we should plan a night dive for after the movie. What do you think?
Yeah, right. Although I would, depending on what's going on at our church tomorrow night, I might entertain a dive tomorrow. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
I don't know what your availability is, but we could talk about it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and maybe even Monday. Oh, wait a minute. You're working.
I'm working Monday. Yeah, I got to work.
Bummer.
Yeah, I got to work. So.
All right. Well, that pretty much does it for this week. We always appreciate you checking us out either live or on Vimeo or YouTube. You can catch us, of course, communicate with us at www.delriodiveclub.com. Or you can certainly hit us on Twitter or visit our Facebook page, Facebook.com/Del Rio Dive Club. And so that pretty much finishes up. We'll see you next week on another episode of Two Guys Who Dive.